Pleasure meeting you, John.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Let's get to started. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a really, really interesting conversation because you've been through the Web 2 and the Web 3 because I'm from the Web 2 and also doing a lot of different things on the Web 3. So can you briefly introduction about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'll first start off in the very beginning of what led me down computer science and technology. So growing up, I played a lot of video games, BattleNet, StarCraft, Diablo, all the good classics. And when I was 9 years old, I used to be a guild leader for a top rating guild in WoW. What? So World of Warcraft is a big MMO. Yeah. There's 40 people. And I was very passionate about this game. And I joined a guild. And they're like, John, you're now the guild leader, so help run it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just 9 years old at the time. I had a Ventrilo voice modulator. And that taught me early on about how do I basically create a team that's trying to accomplish great things. How do I motivate people? How do I deal with personal conflict? And, these people are grown adults, like 20, 30 years old, and I'm just a 9-year-old kid. So that taught me early on about leadership and just being a leader that other people can buy into and really for me to create an amazing environment where we'll be challenged, but we'll also do great things together. Mm-hmm. So that taught me the first thing. And second thing, in World of Warcraft, you could actually program. Mm-hmm. And there was an easy scripting language called Lua. Mm-hmm. So that was my first foray into actually learning how to program. So if I didn't play World of Warcraft, I honestly wouldn't be where I'm at today, which I'm grateful for. I mean, I almost failed school, but the game taught me a lot. So from then on, went on to college in Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. That's in the central coast of California. It was a very engineering focused school. So day one, so my major was computer engineering. And day one is you go to the computer lab and your professor's you're going to learn how to program. So that taught me a lot of great things. I was there for 5 years and I did a lot of things there. Now, I was the president of my dorms. I was the president of CASA, which is the Korean American Student Association. I picked up triathlon. I also did rugby there. So it's just a great experience. And then from there, that's when I actually started off my career. So first starting off as an engineer at Amazon Lab 26. They did Kindle and ink devices. Yeah. Then I told my manager, hey, I want to be a manager one day. And she's like, John, you're only 20 years old. I have to keep you around for 10 years. So you should actually go to a startup. And at that time, I didn't understand, but she got me connected to Andreessen. Wow. And she's like, I have this great engineer. We promoted him in half a year. Please find him a home. So then she pushed me out. And then I went to join as an early engineer for a startup called Caffeine TV, which was a social live broadcasting platform. So think of Twitch, but we used Google's WebRTC, so that video to viewer delay was almost instant. So I was there for about 3 years from stealth all the way to Series C. And my role was, basically being a product engineer for all the different clients. Then from there, joined Tally, which is a credit card debt consolidation company. So I managed all mobile engineering there. This was across, Vancouver to Boston to San Francisco. And then COVID hit. So then I left Tally to join Riot Games, the makers of League of Legends, very popular game. I joined the 2KXO team, which is their up-and-coming fighting game. So I worked on core features and basically building out a metasphere for that game. Then from there, I spent 3 years building the blockchain integrations team at Chainlink Labs. So that's, of course, the leading data Oracle service. And I managed initially 4 engineers to figure out EVM and non-EVM integrations. And after that entire stint, I grew out that team from 4 to about, I believe, 62 engineers under me. So really managed a third of the engineering. So yeah, that's my foray and what makes me and my 12 years and kind of going from Web 2, Web 3. And it doesn't even feel like 12 years, but it's brought me a lot of different experiences, a lot of different people. And now it's equipped me with a lot of context today. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the quick intro about your whole.
I won't say it was quick, but try to get everything in there.
Yeah. So really interesting part is the work culture at the Amazon that you don't have to work for 10 years, but I'm gonna get you the link with the startup through the Anderson Horowitz?
Yeah. So my manager, she was awesome. She actually is what made me want to go down management in the first place. And she was really well connected. And, you know, we had a conversation about, hey, like, I would love to become a manager one day here. But she knew that to keep John busy or engaged for that long, because at big companies, you need to put in a certain amount of, you know, work. You have to get promoted probably 4 times. So for me to go from engineer 1 all the way to manager would have been roughly like 10 years. And she knew that I knew that I'm not going to wait that long. You know, I don't have that patience. So she motivated me to go down the startup route. And, you know, me being in Silicon Valley, Andreessen Horowitz is a very reputable VC. And from there, we got connected to the talent partner. And my interest at that time was live streaming. I was also a Twitch partner. So there was a new company called Twitch, Caffeine TV. And it just happens to be that, you know, me and that recruiter at the time connected right away. And then after a couple of conversations, I joined on as an early engineer.
Nice. So did you actually meet him in person, the Anderson Horowitz, at the office?
I have met Mark. Mark was very closely working with Caffeine. And I remember, you know, he would always stop by. We worked in a old like car mechanic garage in Palo Alto. So it was very close to the main street. But I remember always seeing him walk by or him having meetings with, you know, my founder at that time. And it was a cool experience. And I was still trying to figure out the VC life because I went from big corporation Amazon to a small startup. And I didn't know like, oh, that's an important guy or that's a very influential guy until, you know, a year into the job. I'm like, oh, wow, this guy has incubated so many companies, is super successful. And that got me really interested of like going down the entrepreneurship path.
Is there any different that you from this meeting with Mark from your experience? Is there like a different traits that you can distinguish from the other professionals from the experience from the Amazon? And
I mean, I think everyone at a big company is always, you know, pretty, well, like say like by the book, right? Like everyone knows that when you're at a big company, you have a hierarchy tree of like 50,000 people. And you have your ICs and you have your managers and then you have your managers of managers and everything is pretty much a massive pyramid versus in the startup realm, you know, you don't have this 50,000 hierarchy, but you do have reputable venture capital firms or funds that have very reputable folks. So, you know, for you to actually navigate a network in the startup realm, and this was in 2016 at the time, it was much easier versus for me to like continue to grow out my career at a big company and somehow, you know, report to the CTO or report to Jeff Bezos. Like I would have to work for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years, right? So I think it's very different. And, you know, to this very day, I still believe that every software engineer or anyone working in the Valley should give a startup a shot because you learn so much, you move so much more quickly, you learn a lot about yourself. And it's something that, you know, I'm glad that I made that choice very early on in my career versus 10 years down the road going into a startup for like the first time.
Nice. So like, even if you from the startup world, from the Web 2, and then I met so many different founders from the Web 2 world, of course, because I'm from the Web 2, but very few people are actually have made their mind to go to Web 3. I want to ask you like how, what are the experience and what are the thoughts behind that you wanted to pursue the Web 3?
And that's a very good question because everyone has their own maybe stereotypes against Web3. Some people don't want to work in Web3 because they feel that it's a overvalued space or they don't understand it themselves or they don't believe in blockchain to be a future infrastructure for payments and all things. For me, my journey with Web3 and blockchain, I happened to experienced that very early on. So I got into Bitcoin when I used to play a lot of Diablo 2, and Diablo 2 is RPG, right? So you have a character and you do like certain amount of dungeon runs, and then you basically farm, whatever items. So, and I'll just say like, I would do like 100 Mephisto runs, which is like a boss, and they drop boss items. And I'm like, cool, I wonder if I could sell it. And that's when I actually found websites and where you could coordinate and like sell these things. And that's where I was selling it for Bitcoin and Litecoin. And I was like, this is really interesting. I also had a personal connection with kind of tying financial systems and technology together. So kind of a personal story, when my parents were the only ones to leave Korea to come to the United States. And that was because my dad got an MBA at Ohio University and then went to LA. But I remember I would always ride shotgun in the car so that they could go from where we grew up in Torrance to LA to go to the Hanguk embassy to get a notary to send money back at home. But every time they sent like $10,000, it would cost us $1,500 because of tax. And I'm like, I was so pissed off. I'm like, why are we getting robbed for so much? So when I connected decentralized payments together with, in my case, I'm not the only person, right? There's plenty of immigrants that send money back at home. I'm like, that's such an important piece of infrastructure that we don't have. So we should really embrace that. So I've been following blockchain and been in it since 2010. I've done a couple of ICOs. I've seen it all. So I would say like I have a very different perspective of like why I embraced Web3 earlier.
Nice.
And that's what allowed me to, go and find a role at Chainlink Labs. And then from me to do a lot of consulting at different chains or NFT projects or L1s or blah, blah, blah. But it's because I've lived through all the cycles. Now, if I didn't have that and I was trying to break into blockchain today, I mean, there's a lot of noise, right? Like you could see Trump and Mononio coin, you could see, Terra happening, you could see exchanges getting hacked. So I could see why there's a lot of hesitancy against it. But I mean, there is hesitancies and mishaps that happen in like the traditional credit card world. Like in America, we have our social security number, and Equifax has been hacked many times. So it's like the same amount of bad things happen to existing traditional systems. But I think Web3, you just always hear about the bad things. Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and everything collapsing and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I think that digital revolution is inevitable. So, I would say for folks that don't embrace Web3, that's fine. They could still build their Web2 SaaS or whatever companies they want to. But Web3 offers so much innovation. There's so much opportunity. And really right now, it's like the time only gets better and better to build in Web3. So I don't know. I wish there's more or less FUD and more people going into it. And I have plenty of founder friends because I'm in Silicon Valley. And I would say like 8 out of 10 of my friends who are in kind of that founder mode don't want to build in Web3 as a result. So it's, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And then I'm sure that you had other different options besides Chainlink as well. But then I believe there's a reason behind that you chose Chainlink. What was it?
I think it's for personal reasons. One was I was actually part of the Chainlink ICO back in 2016. The ICO summit that happened actually a couple months after Ethereum. And those are my two ICOs. I mean, I've probably paid more gas than the tokens that I got, and it wasn't like life-changing, but it was really exciting because two of the most reputable companies and projects in Web3 ICO'd roughly around the same time. And I always believed in Chainlink to be this interesting positioned project where looking at the Oracle problem, looking at data consumption and being that standard, especially for cross-border payments and cross-banking infrastructure, it just made sense. And Chainlink isn't just data feeds. It's also VRF. It's also CCIP. They've built primitives that developers need to build dApps that are secure. And that's also why I was attracted to Chainlink as a builder. Because I was doing some couple of hackathon projects, and one day in 2019, 2020, when there was a role that was open for blockchain integrations, I had to jump at that opportunity. And, I brought all these things up too, with Sergey and Steve, who are co-founders of Chainlink. I'm like, like, I was there at ICO. like what more of an OG could you want? And it was like a 7-month interview process, which was something separate, but I'm glad that I was able to have my career there. I've learned a lot. I'm very proud about the team that I built, and they're still doing great things today. So
the position that you took was the head of the integration, right?
Yeah, blockchain integrations. Yeah.
So I think by the time, I believe all the different type of like a large market cap, the tokens or coins are trying to build something chain so that they can bring it in and inviting in so many like promising the project on their chain. So is there if you can you explain more about what's the real job behind this? How you're gonna help how you help to grow the company?
So when I first joined, the role was how do we start to deploy data feeds on direct chains in a reliable and quantifiable manner. So back then, doing an EVM integration would take anywhere from 4 to 12 months, or like a non-EVM integration would take forever. And there was no science, because back then there wasn't a lot of chains. And for us to deploy our products natively, it was still like an open-ended process. So what I did was basically create a funnel in which we internally in Chainlink knew what we had to do. For example, we had to make sure our core node was composable. We had to make sure that our internal operations, we had tooling. We had to understand the nuances between EVM and non-EVM chains. If it was non-EVM, we'd have to write custom contracts. And if we write custom contracts, we needed to get it audited and then deploy it. And then after all of that, we had to make sure that our node operators, which power our decentralized Oracle network, are able to upgrade. So it was like a very, very complex integration problem. And my job was to make sure that everything from internal to external delivery was able to be consistently delivered in a timely manner. So the 3 years that I spent there was all sorts of that. It was making our core node much more modular. It was making sure that our product development teams adhered to a certain standard so that we didn't have random services that we had to integrate with for specific products. Everything would be consistent. And lastly, it would just be all the operational sense that we needed, all the way from like the black box of evaluating new chains, all the way to the deployment and adding automation for all the turnkey pieces to deploy our products on chain. So it was a very, very tricky problem, but it was super rewarding because I got to work with all the L1s and L2s out there. I would be having calls with Anatoly from Solana, or just other heads of certain chains, and it just got me to be a prominent leader representing Chainlink towards all these projects. And it also made me understand, what value proposition these chains had. What is their ecosystem? What is their narrative? How are they attracting builders? And every time we did an integration, I would work with their core team. So it's like I would work with all their engineers and they would work with my engineers. So it was just a really cool experience to have, because, this was from 2020 till 2025. It's like these engineers were the first builders of like Web3 infrastructure. And, Web3 is much more smaller than Web2. So that was something that was really awesome and network with. And I think another thing that's awesome about Web3 is like there's talent all across the world. So it's like I had the opportunity to work with the best folks in Singapore and Greece and Hong Kong and in Central Europe. And that's what Web3 provides, not only a new methodology of building, but also just talent that you could meet around the world. So that was my summarization of like that Chainlink experience to me. And yeah, it's just crazy to see that, one of the dinosaur projects, like Chain has been around for almost 7 years. They're still making great headways. In America, we have a very pro crypto cabinet. So seeing Sergey next to like the president, it's such a weird feeling for me, but it's exciting. And I know right now it's just very early for all the good things to come.
Yeah. Wow, congrats.
Yeah.
So remember that a lot of different coins coming out on the market when we was like a ICO era, and then only a few coins been survived from the moment. And then only a few the coins survived through the chains and then how they build the ecosystem around it. And then it requires tons of work around the engineer jobs as well. And that's what Web2 people do not understand the part, most of it. So I always wanted to tell that people that this is really, really deep engineering work behind the Web3, but then most people don't know about it. They only talk about the token price,
tokenomics,
tokenomics and all that. So I'm like, that's not only thing about it.
Well, it's exciting because in Web3, and if you have a live token, the things that you build, the things that you co-market with, the things that you announce have such a faster loop to impact the token price versus if you're at a Web2 company, you have to do something insane or something insanely bad to get like a 5% swing. Like Amazon will never have like a 10% swing on a daily out of nowhere. Crypto, you see that like literally every day. I mean, in the 2017 era, you saw projects go plus minus 40% every day. And it's just like mania. But I think that's the value prop that Web3 provides. Like, for example, you were working on a project and then you get incubated, or you connect with another ecosystem, or you have like a consumer chain that comes out and lands a big partnership. Then you go from like a $1 million cap token to suddenly billions. Like that doesn't happen at all in like the Web2 space.
Exactly.
So as a developer and as a builder, it's very exciting because, two things. One is you have immediate, or maybe not immediate, but like faster feedback loops with what you build and how the market reacts. And secondly is like, if you work in Web3 as an engineer or any operator, you're, instead of having restricted stock units as your equity, you're going to have tokens. So if your tokens like 10x in price, that's amazing, right? For your stock in Amazon to 10x in price, like that's not going to happen unless you're at NVIDIA or Meta during the pandemic. But even then, it's hard. So that's why I say Web3 jobs and opportunities is also exciting too. And it goes the other way too. Maybe your token doesn't do anything, your equity goes to zero. But I think it's still worth a shot to have your career.
Totally agree. So I'm sure that you have many different friends that became a crypto millionaire from your career path. Like I have some. Also, I have a couple of friends who built exchanges and exited to the big conglomerate in Korea. And then he's a million made of it.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Is there any the cases of your the people that you work with at the Chainlink or probably became a millionaire after launching the token or anything?
There's definitely those folks. Just in my personal network, knowing like when I used to play Diablo 2 and I've had friends that would sell their items for Bitcoin and we keep in touch and I'm like, hey, did you sell? He's like, nope. And I'm like, oh my God, like you're set, right? He's like, I've been just kind of living low key, which is amazing. Or like, folks that worked at certain companies, usually you have equity that's a certain strike price of the token. So let's just say, for example, like I joined Chainlink when it was like $7 and then it went to like 30, right? Like ideally your equity would have, almost increased by like 4 or 5x, right? So that's great. And I've also met folks who, were early employees at certain chains and then they TGE'd and then all of a sudden they're, 100K equity is now 2.9 million or something. So it's cool. I haven't had one of those personally, but I've had some good modest amounts, and I think in the Web3 space, it's not only that you could achieve that through working, but you could also achieve that with how you're doing trading. Maybe you also got into NFTs and you bought a couple apes or punks when they're thousands of dollars, or maybe you could have also done some DeFi projects, or Web3 gaming is also slept on. So I think there's a lot of ways to make alpha in this space, not only as a builder, but also just as a close follower of different projects. The latest would be for example, after the Solana meme, meta, it's been a lot around AVAX, and there's a couple of NFT projects that are now coming back. So I don't know what this next narrative is. Personally, for me, I'm interested in RWAs and tokenizing physical goods like graded Pokemon cards and whatnot. But there's a lot of ways to find and seek alpha in Web3.
Nice. So throughout the whole the career experience and all the path from the Web2 and Web3, now you are in the process of the new startup and the new entrepreneurship journey. Can you share what are you going to do? And then why you decided that way behind it?
So after 12 years in various startups and big companies, I've been doing some consulting for the past half year, just really seeing what's out there. What are the new narratives? What are new projects? Who's doing what in infrastructure? Who's doing what in consumer? And being a follower of Web3 for almost a decade and a half, I still see the same opportunities. I still see the UX around wallet creation and signing transactions. It hasn't really changed much. The adoption for blockchain to go from DEXs to dApps to wallet abstraction, that's great. But for me to understand if a normie gets it is if I explain to my, first generation Korean parents of oh, this actually makes sense. And I think there's still a lot of opportunity for that. So I think that proposes a unique set of challenges that I want to tackle. And secondly is, growing up, this is more of a tangent, but I always love collectibles. I used to be a sponsored player for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and Magic. So I used to travel around the United States competing in these tournaments. And to this day, I collected a lot of cards. I still grade them. I go to card shows and I built out a 6-figure ARR business selling cards. That was my side income hobby. And then when I put kind of 2 and 2 together, I'm we need a modern marketplace where I can buy and trade these graded cards on chain to handle settlement, to handle authenticity and security. But also, we need a place where it's social and it's fun and it's able to collect with others around the world. And I think a part of what makes card collecting exciting is I've met friends all around the world, the same way as I met people all around the world from Web3. And every country has their own niches. So for example, United States, you kind of have a conglomerate of different IP, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, etc. Here in Korea, I've met a lot of friends that are super into sports. And of course, you go to Japan, it's super into Pokemon. And if you don't go to these world global card conventions, you don't get to meet collectors from other countries. So I want to build something that takes that experience and also offer a marketplace where anyone can have access to basically building their collection on chain. So I call this Cardment. I built out the prototype almost a month ago, a weekend. I just vibe coded. And since then I went to 2 hackathons. I've built out an MVP. I hired an engineer and a designer. And I've been talking to a bunch of VCs for pre-seed. So that's gonna be my next place. So we'll see how it goes. But it's I've never been so excited to finally work on something that I'm passionate about. And I know that at the end of the day, if I if I'm pushed into a corner and I have to bet on myself, I will absolutely do that. So it's been very exciting for me to finally go on the founder journey, even though I spent 12 years building my career, but now building something of where I see a unique vantage point of collectibles and on-chain.
Nice. Yeah. And then are you going to build it on Chainlink or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things. Yeah. I need a couple of things I need for the platform. One is a very consumer-centric chain, something that has a lot of NFT support, creation, hopefully cheap minting fees. I also want to share this narrative with an ecosystem that also shares that narrative. And also, most importantly, some of the primitives around like smart contract work. Do I need to do it on a particular standard? Some chains offer native VRF. So I'm still deciding what to do. For now, I'm just eating the costs and minting on Ethereum, which I don't recommend, but it's a choice. And hopefully, in the next quarter, I'm able to see a chain partner that I could work closely with. Yeah. But for now, it's a proof of concept. I'm moving off my 20,000 card collection off of an existing vault into putting it into another vault that I'll be running. And then from there, I'll be minting the associated NFT and start to go live with a private alpha next month. From there, iterate on feedback and then do a GA launch, hopefully by June. So it's coming very quickly. And this trip to Korea is kind of like my last centering moment before I go really hard on the founder mode.
Nice. I believe that the card industry, that kind of the transaction, the largest volume created from the States, right?
It's definitely one of them. Because you have the intersection between a lot of different IPs. So Magic the Gathering is one of the oldest competitive TCGs with heavy American roots. And then you have sports, so American football, basketball, baseball. So you have that fandom. And so I think that's what drives a lot of the volume. And then, of course, Pokemon to come from Asia, Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. So we have a good mix of everything versus there's other countries that go super hard in one specific genre. But I do think overall the global TAM of all these cards is around 30 billion. So it's just crazy that, these IPs will always exist. Sports will always exist. There'll always be new players or new teams to follow. So I think in terms of an industry, it will only keep on growing.
Totally. If you are, because most of the subscribers are the industry people and also the wanna be in that industry people, like early 20s or something. If you can share your now you have all the experience, and if you can just give them a guidance to the younger generations, like 20 years old, what would you say to them?
That's a great question. I mean, if I was 20 years old, and I thought about this a lot on my flight here, like right now is such a crazy time to be in computing and software engineering because you have the ability to use so many different tools that, for example, like I built out a landing page for my portfolio recently, and it took me 40 minutes of prompting versus if I were to build a website 15 years ago, it would have taken me 30 hours. It's just like so insane how much access to these tools, which are productivity amplifiers. So, I mean, number one is like understand what AI and LLMs can provide to you. Playing around with every single tool out there: Perplexity, Cursor, Windsurf, Claude, GPT, Sonnet, and every week these models are competing against each other to get even better. And I'm not even naming like the Asian models that are coming out because they're just as good too. And understanding how to use this to make your productivity quicker and better, like that'll be my number one thing. Number two is I do think with advancements in AI and LLMs, no longer are the days where you need to be a super focused engineer on Python or Golang. I think now the best engineers are product engineers in which they can think of a small business idea or a small, very viral like growth loop and then build a small app or service and basically become a founder and build really great things. That's really exciting. So I would say like, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of jealous of all this generation because they have so much cool stuff, right? And I'm turning 33, but man, if I was 20, I would be like getting my Red Bull or Celsius, learning all these things, doing hackathons with all my friends, and just building cool stuff and just trying things out. Because now you could iterate so quickly. You don't have to hire a front-end engineer or a back-end engineer or mobile engineer or all three. There's tools to do design, copywriting, development, marketing. And it's like, honestly, the world is your oyster. So like, it's just so crazy what you could do now.
Yeah. I remember because I've been in this space for over a decade, and I remember about 2 years ago, we have all the developers like a back end, front end.
Yep.
Now I see we don't need probably within just couple of years, we don't need that much of people for the engineering the product. It's going to be the GPT all job will be taken over by them. So I think the Sam Altman also said that you'll be able to see single person became a unicorn.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really possible.
I believe that. And I've seen through the advancements and like the different metas of engineer. You know, when I first started programming in the 2000s, it was all about who could write C++ or who's the best website developer in HTML and CSS. And then when I was in university, this was around 2010, that was the advent of like web development before any common platforms. And then in the mid 2010s, it was all about mobiles because the advancements in Android and iPhones and the cell phone wars came to be. So mobile engineering was like a hot skill. And then after that was, okay, you have React Native, you have Flutter, you have all these web and mobile cross development platforms. So then people just became generalists. And then now like backend engineering became really hot. So then it's like Golang. And then now in the 2020s, you have blockchain. So then it was like Solidity and Rust. And it's just like, but these cycles are so small. These engineering cycles are like 2 to 3 years versus like if you look at the finance world, I mean, you'll probably have your Excel sheets that is, you know, it's going to be standing the test of time, or like a lot of these like modeling is not going to change much every 5 years. But in software engineering, it's always been these 2-3 year cycles. But this past year, it's been almost like weekly cycles. You know, 1 week GPT is the best, and then next week it's like V0's meta, and then like recently, like I started to use like Claude 3.7, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. And now it's like Windsurf, and then back to like Bolt, and it's just like things are gonna move so fast to the point where every day there's a new skill. So I think it's now more important than ever to like just follow all these things and just absorb and be a generalist and figure out what works for you. But if you're a developer right now and you haven't used any of these things and you've only used like GitHub Copilot, you're already so far behind. So I would say like, that's why like just try everything. And like you said earlier, it's like, I don't think there will be specialist engineers. Like I went from being a firmware engineer to being a mobile engineer to a backend engineer into like blockchain. But now, like I don't need to be an expert. I could be a generalist. And if I could wear my product manager hat and think about what problems am I going to solve for the user or business, and then focus on that and use all these tools to help me build it, I think those product-minded engineers is like the next meta. Like you don't have to be a 20-year crack developer at X big company. You just have to understand how do you identify a problem? How do you then build a service or product that solves that problem? How do you market towards it and make it reliable and useful? That's where you basically find the most cracked founders. And as a founder now, especially non-technical founders, you don't have to hire 10 engineers. You could do all the engineering on your own. So I do highly agree that, you know, all these unicorns, you know, might be solo founders.
When you think about hiring process, when you're at the Chainlink or other startups, now you probably see many different patterns from the engineers. What would you like the most when you decided, oh, this person is the one that you want to hire?
Yeah. I think in the past, I've always been very mindful of the culture that I've set. And I want to work with people that have low ego, that can raise their technical bar, but also contribute a lot to the culture and personality types that the team is missing. So for example, there's a lot of teams out there that, you know, maybe everyone is soft-spoken, but the manager is, quite frankly, a big a-hole. And it creates that kind of dynamic of like following this leader, or versus there's other environments where everyone is strongly opinionated, and that manager then needs to cater towards that kind of team environment. Like I always try to find not only the technical gaps that we need, but also the personality gaps that I don't have on the team itself. So those kind of factored into like whom I found people. And of course, like they would have to pass their bar, you know, both on the technical side, both on the team side. But as a team leader and a manager that wanted to build world-class teams, that's what I thought about a lot. I still do to this day, but for me now to become a founder, the skills that I index for, technically, what have you built using all these tools? Because that shows me that you're with the current times, you know how software engineering has evolved and you're at the forefront of it. It's like I said, like if you're already prompting and using all these tools, you're already in the 1%. I don't care if you're like a sophomore in college or like a 10-year developer. If you haven't used all those tools at least once, like you're not staying within the times. And secondly is I ask every team member that I hire, whether they're an engineer or a growth marketer, I want you to put on your product hat because, and I'm trying to hire my founding team right now, but I believe that in these small teams, everyone should act like a product owner and as a founder. So, okay, within this scope of Cardment, which is an online collectibles market for graded cards, like have them do the competitor analysis, have them come with their own innovation and gaps where they see exist in a market, and C is like, I want them to explain me how they would build Cardment. Because that allows me to then see, okay, this person is invested, they've done the research, they've onboarded themselves onto the space. They could think like a product manager despite what role. And most importantly, they'd be bought in and hopefully aligned with the mission that I'm building. And lastly is like, maybe they thought of ideas that I haven't even thought about. And if that's the case, and if I have them on board and for them to be able to build those things out, that's a direct fit because they would already have been self-motivated to build that anyways. So those are the two things I look for now. And it's very different because I'm not managing a 70-person engineering team. I'm now trying to build a very lean and nimble crack team. But I think those are the two things that any manager should think about. Is you know, technical fit and scrappiness, and B is can they be their own like product minded person, because that's how you get innovation and the best ideas to come to build whatever product you're building.
Yeah. You definitely need someone who knows how to, you know, build from the scratch and then find the product market fit, that kind of stuff. What are the engineering backgrounds or engineering needs behind the product, that kind of thing. Speaking of the card, the startup new idea, probably not really 100% related, but then one of the YC startup became a unicorn. It's a Whatnot.
Whatnot,
Whatnot, right?
Yeah.
It became a unicorn.
Right.
And I think that's a live streaming. They got hit because of the card, right? I think that's what I'm wrong, but then I think they are live streaming with the sports car.
So they're a company that I respect a lot. So they recently raised, I think, $230 million at a $5 billion valuation. And I actually know a couple of the early folks because they were from caffeine. So there's a lot of caffeine DNA there. And they're great friends. So basically what they built is an online marketplace where instead of having you to purchase whatever shoe or coins or collectibles on eBay, you had a person live streaming it. And they sell product just as the same way as like a infomercial. So a streamer would go on, they're going to sell these products. They put these products for purchasing. There's a bid. And let's just say they buy like Pokemon packs. It's like, okay, you could actually request them to ship it to you without it open, or you could actually have the streamer open it so the whole audience can watch it as a form of entertainment. So it's very exciting, right? Because let's just say I'm at a place, or I just want to get the itch scratch of like, I want to open packs. So you have a streamer that sells them, you bid on it, you win, and they open it for you. So it's a very like engaging form of experience. And you know, I used to be a Twitch partner. You know, I was at Caffeine TV, which was a live streaming platform. Live entertainment is very exciting. The drawbacks is video infrastructure and streaming is extremely costly. There's been numerous public articles where like Twitch is actually bleeding money because they're trying to create and support all these video streams around the world. And I think secondly, moderation is hard because when you're trying to have all these creators come on board, to moderate them and to make sure that the video stream is appropriate and safe, it's almost an uphill battle. So that's what's really hard about video streaming. And I think actually in the future, in 5-10 years, like video streaming, even to this day, is not popular. Like I used to follow all the big streamers like Summit or Asmongold, and they would have like, or Ninja, they would have like 50 to 100,000 people watching. But now when I go on Twitch, there's barely someone that's cracking 5,000 people. And I think it's because the people, like when I was watching Twitch, you know, this was back in like the 2010s, live streaming was it, but there was no TikTok, there was no Reels. I think people had a much more larger attention span to watch streams. But I think in this generation, no one's gonna watch an 8-hour stream. They just want to doom scroll and get their fix on scrolling TikTok or Reels and like, or YouTube Shorts. But streaming, I think, is too long and not engaging. So that's where the experience of like catering towards collectibles but not doing video streaming got me to think about Cardment, because it's not going to be video streaming, but I do want to have verticals where there is social connection, not only to celebrate each other's collections and fandom, but let's just say, for example, I don't know, like I'm a fan of Blastoise and you're a fan of Charizard, and we're going to do this weekly activation where like whoever has the most cards of either or in a particular challenge, if they win, they'll get airdropped a card or something exciting. So you're still engaging in a community, but you're not streaming. I think those are the experiences that are really interesting. So I'm thinking of it in that way. But I mean, Whatnot is still very successful. They branch out to many different things. They're still going to be around. And that also got me excited. I'm like, okay, cool. If Whatnot could get a $5 billion evaluation, hopefully I could get at least a percentage of that. So, we'll see.
Nice. I mean, throughout these interviews with the great minds like yourself, I realized that so many people are, one thing in common is there's always this, the very few people they meet and then they are helping them to lift up. So if you can share your experience from your probably could be Amazon, your senior manager. I have my own experience as well. If you can pick someone, name them, and then how they help you and then how you get there, and then ask for the support or anything. So just be like anyone that I've had the opportunity to grow or vice versa. That's hard because there's in your career, and I mean in everyone's career, like you meet so many people. And I think as a manager, at least for me, you know, the reason why I got into management was due to my first manager who she did everything right. She pushed me, she gave me visibility, she gave me projects that allowed me to advance, and she knew the right ways to motivate me and play along with the velocity that I wanted. And really anything I asked for, whether it's materials or training or opportunities, she gave it to me. And I never felt that I was wasting my time. So, you know, for me to then bring that to the people that I support as a manager, I mean, you should care about your people at the end of the day. These are people that are putting their time and are clocking in and day out because they're reporting to you. So you should make sure that you do everything you can to grow them.
I think that's what managers should be. In real life, that's definitely not. There's some managers that don't care. They don't care about, their folks more than their own personal agendas. And, I try to, at least in my career, present an opportunity where anyone I supported, they felt that warmth. They felt me in their corner. So anyone that I had a chance to manage, I felt incredibly blessed because they've all taught me many different things about myself. I think if I had to choose one, and I'll redact the name, but I did have a manager at Chainlink who I reported to. And in the beginning, I thought he was like a complete a-hole. Like every proposal that I created or everything I did was met with skepticism. And I think what that taught me was he was trying to teach me how to not only deliver the thing, but also think about how do I cater my responses or any initiatives that I've done, how that would be in the eyes of executive leadership or other managers. Like he knew that I could execute, but in terms of translating that to business outcomes or really looking at the broader picture, that was where my growth opportunity was. So from him, I learned how to really understand, not only should I care about supporting my team and making sure that my team is able to deliver the things, but over time, if I'm doing well, my team is growing, I can't just be delivering the same integrations over and over. I have to be looking for impact that I can make positively to other team members or other people or other organizations, or even, re-architecting a product by myself and a couple of tech leads. And that was probably the most growth and learning I've had, because that taught me how to seek out opportunities and problems and fix them or innovate on them before someone else does or someone picks it up. And those are actually very raw skills that now I'm exercising on a daily basis when I'm building out Cardman. So this is one of the many examples I've had with great mentors and people in my career. But this particular manager, who I'm still very close to this day, what's cool was he actually went to ETH Denver and he partook in a hackathon by himself. So I'm seeing this super reputable guy in the corner just hacking, and I'm like, man, that's someone I look up towards, right? He understands what it is to be a great engineer, but is also a builder at heart. And he's also he doesn't need to be there. He's very well accomplished, doesn't have to work, but the fact that, he's there by himself in a corner partaking in the hackathon, that just shows that once you're a builder, you're always a builder. So
that's amazing. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, I never thought it's really, really, really hard that someone who accomplished so much and then try to be a builder, that mindset, still having that hustle, that mindset is really incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he could be in Bali chilling. He could be, wherever. But I think when it comes down to spiritually and personal achievement and satisfaction, it's always trying to figure out how can you be the better engineer? How can you build something you're proud about? And the fact that and he's been in the tech field for almost 20 years, he still has that when he doesn't need to because he's super accomplished. That was something awesome to see.
You could be like that in the future.
Hopefully I'll be like that. I think software engineering is too exciting, especially now. It's also the reason why I want to go to become a founder, is to now exercise all the things that I've learned to apply that to a personal opportunity and objective. And then selfishly also, another reason why I want to go down the founder path is, so I have, 4 nephews and a niece. And I think for them to be exposed to me as an uncle, who, has worked in Silicon Valley, has worked at Riot Games and Chainlink Labs, and is kind of like that funkle. I want to be a great example for them, that they could, really just have an idea and be able to build something great. So those are the three reasons what motivates me to, to go down this path versus going down there's nothing wrong with the traditional career path of working at a big company. Actually, after Chainlink, I got 2 VP of engineering offers from 2 very respectful chains, and I turned them down so I could continue to consult and learn from the things I wanted to and actually go down the founder path myself. So it's I've also double and triple and quadrupled down to myself, so it has to work out. If not, it's fine. Jobs will always be there. I feel I think not only do you have to have the skills to build something, but timing is everything. And I think in this space right now with engineering development and what's happening in culture for collectibles and what's currently out there in terms of people building in the space, I just see that there's a very, very small window in which if I can innovate and get Cardment's traction going, there could be a real shot that it turns into something big. So that's why I said, okay, it's time to fully, double down on myself and call my shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then have you ever thought about doing startup idea or business in a Web2 way after been through this 12-year experience? Yeah.
I would say Cardment, it's kind of a mix, and I call it a Web 2.5 app. Because it's essentially an online marketplace with gaming and social verticals with crypto rails for account creation, abstraction, on-ramp, and off-ramp. But I do think that this marketplace, I'm not trying to cater towards the Web3 KOLs or just the normies. I think there is going to be a new wave of applications that serve both interests. I think for it to be powered by blockchain, it will have certain pros against a traditional Web 2 system or website or whatever. And I think these apps are going to start to blur the lines between, if I'm a user, do I need to be super versed in crypto? Yes, no. And I think at the end of the day, the user should decide how to on-ramp, whether that's buying fiat or sending fiat or sending crypto to turn into a stable coin to then use into whatever marketplace. So I think there's that intersection. And it's also, I think this space needs more of these to be built because that's how you'll get normies to understand blockchain in one way or the other. For example, no one knew what Phantom was until December when it was Solana meme coin mania. And now you have millions of people that downloaded Phantom where if you ask them, hey, what's a crypto wallet? They'll say Phantom. But they're not going to say Hana or MetaMask or any of the OG wallets because that's not what they downloaded. They downloaded Phantom. So I think that was a very interesting cultural phenomenon to see because now you have millions of normies who think a crypto wallet is just Phantom. But you and I know there's hundreds of crypto wallets out there. So I do think where Cardment is, it's kind of right in that intersection. And I have to make sure that, I'm not blasting that it's blockchain this, blockchain that. It's no. You go on a website, you create a wallet, you can log in via Apple ID or Gmail or whatever. And if you want to attach your own crypto wallet later, you can and link your address. And if you want to do specific advanced functions, for example, let's just say you buy a card and then you want to list it on some, DeFi NFT platform, you can. But also the 95% of the users who aren't going to do that can still interact with the website the same way as they'll interact with StockX or Mercari or eBay or any of the traditional marketplaces. So I think now we're going to start to see more systems that cater towards both use cases.
Nice. So right before you probably, I saw that you had 50 different meetings within really short time. So was it when you were working at Chainlink or after Chainlink?
No, it was after Chainlink. So after Cardment building that MVP a month ago, and after being away from Chainlink, I realized how big Web3 is and how much has been built during the time I was at Chainlink, which was from 2020, 2021 to 2024. The pandemic was actually very exciting for crypto. It was no longer oh, it's just Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin. That was the majority of the time from 2016 to 2019. And you have all the OG alts. You know, you have Icon and VeChain and Tron and like I could probably think of like hundreds of chains that I've lost money on because we all invested in those. But in the pandemic, it brought not only more projects, it brought in more infrastructure, it brought in NFTs from 0 to 1, and leaving Chainlink, because Chainlink is very institutional focused. It's all about connecting blockchains or connecting and using existing payment protocols like Swift, or it's enabling a chain to use data feeds or VR for CCIP. But after you leave that kind of world, you're like, holy crap, there's other competitors, like, for example, Axelar and Layer Zero are doing incredible things, and they're on 125 chains. There's an insane amount of new chains where, like, I didn't really know the narrative, but now I'm like, okay, the consumer chains are very rampant. You have many chains that want to be the consumer chain, and all of them have different value props of why they're better. You have Abstract, who's really exciting, who they have streaming, and they're very consumer focused, and they're also, Pudgy is also very active, versus you have a lot of different chains that offer different things. For example, I really like Story because their founders were previous lawyers in entertainment. So a lot of the STK functions, from what I recall, have a lot of different dynamic royalties when it comes to different media forms. And I'm like, that's really exciting. And then you also have new consumer chains out there that's all trying to vie for builders. So it's like, during my half year of leaving Chainlink, I felt I've learned more about the crypto space than during the 3 years I spent at Chainlink, which was kind of weird. And I don't know if it's like a timing thing or if it's just like I was just kind of in my institutional mode, but that's exciting to see. And this year is also super exciting because now in America, we have a pro-crypto cabinet, and there's a lot of new laws that are cooking. For example, every state wants to build their own Bitcoin reserve or 0% tax, long-term gains tax on crypto. Building a crypto company in America will have tax benefits. So it's just like kind of crazy to see all this kind of come to be. But I think it's still changing. There's new narratives. And, what we see right now in the first quarter, next quarter might be completely different. Maybe all the other countries are going to start to build their own strategic reserve. Maybe Bitcoin will have a very high focus on ecosystem projects. So people now start doing like utility projects on Bitcoin, or BTC-Fi is like a term that's recently used. So it's like, we don't know what we don't know, but it's just exciting that there's now more builders, more chains, more projects, and more things to like dabble into.
So 50 different meetings, all with like a
so the meetings are
chains, right?
So those 50 meetings, like it's really around Cardment, because now as a founder, the opportunity I have is, okay, Web 2, there's firms that I've know and worked with. So in the Bay Area, you have a couple of like, there's like tiers, which is kind of weird to say, but it's like you have these firms from like A16Z, Greylock, to Dragonfly, to Patron Fund. And then you have also Web3 forms of funding, which is like Align Style, Orange. And then in Web3 as a founder, you also have an opportunity to get like institution grants. So like getting a grant from like, I don't know, like Avalanche or Abstract. Or you could also go down like another degen route where like I could go on like basically like launch my own coin and then like fund the project. So like as a founder, like a benefit of being Web3 adjacent is you're not just only tied to Web2 funding. There's also forms that Web3 has brought. So that's what I've been doing a lot of meetings on. And I also got recently on a very prominent newsletter from Ben Ling. Shout out Ben Ling. He sponsored me on his newsletter that attracted a lot of early startup builders, and it's like a big community. But then after having that shout out, like my inbox for my email is like 400 people interested in Cardment. So I'm like interviewing them while also interviewing with all the chains that are interested because they're interested in a RWA play. And I told them that like, hey, I could mint like 250,000 NFTs a year because that's how many cards I move on eBay anyways, or in card shows. And then it's like, well, there's these L1 ecosystems that like want an NFT RWA play. And then there's like consumer chains that need builders because they don't have any. So it's like, it's very exciting for me as a founder because it gives me options.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like it's better to have options than to be stuck with one thing. So, you know, I'm not in a rush to like sign anything, but it's just awesome to see that people are interested in Cardment. They believe in the mission. They see my background and believe me as a founder market fit. And then lastly, there's a lot of different forms of equity and grants and investment vehicles that you could do. So,
nice. If you are signed to dedicated to one single chain, does it has to be with the exclusivity or?
It could be either or. Yeah. So there's some chains that are like, okay, you know, if you build on X, then you have to build on X for a year and we'll give whatever. There's also a lot of chains who were like, we're not going to be exclusive. We're EVM, but we want, you know, you to be like our prominent builder versus another chain. So in a way it is exclusive, but it's also like not tied to it. So, I mean, right now I'm evaluating everything. There's a lot of great opportunities because it's like, okay, well, one chain could have native VRF and they have contracts already proven and I could deploy on them versus there's another chain where I could do really interesting things with the royalties versus there's another chain that is super NFT focused. And it's like, it's at the end of the day, they're all options. I think for now, I'm more focused on building the product, getting numbers, making it exciting and having collectors on board. And then from there, it's like, okay, as that kind of evolves, I could then get more strict on whatever partner that I want to choose.
Nice. So whenever we have a guest, we also ask common questions.
Okay.
Like what was your happiest moment? What was your rock bottom moment? The reason why I'm asking these questions because it's captured the emotional moment. And also at the same time, it's very commonly understandable besides of a career path. So if you can think of what was your the happiest moment from your career path?
Happiest moment in my career path. Wow. Okay.
Back in 9 years old and then running crews, guild.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in my career path, there's been a lot of exciting things where I've launched a product or we went live with a service or we built something and got a strategic Series C. I don't know. That's really hard to choose. I think the happiest I've ever been at a job and at a project, I would say would be my time at Caffeine TV. We had to build a feature where it was blending a video stream that came from a particular news anchor's content delivery network. And what we're trying to do is have our streamers run that stream and commentate over it. It was called live hosting. And it was just like such a tough, challenging problem to have. B is working at Caffeine. I've met so many incredible people that I could call my close friends to this day. And we had such a crack team. And we sacrificed the weekends and holidays to build it, and we got it done. And C was truly innovative for its time. And I think kind of going through that experience, like I haven't had an experience in my career that's matched that level of intensity and shared understanding. And that's actually what led to, the success of another round being raised. So that was probably one of the toughest, but one of the most like gratifying moments I've had in my career.
Yeah.
On top of that, like separately, I think whenever I get to promote someone, I'm super excited because that's a testament of not only that person's hard work, but me setting that person up for success. So the best joys in my career as a manager is seeing that young engineer that was like a super scrappy intern that somehow got promoted all the way to senior. And it's like a 3-year, like a multi-year journey. But I know how incredibly hard and such a milestone that it is to achieve for that person because I've been in that person's shoes. Right? Every engineer wants to be a senior engineer one day. That's like the thing. So being able to guide that person through those moments is super exciting. And you know, I've promoted maybe 60 something people in my career, but every single one, it's like once it happens, like they've done the projects, they have the visibility, they pass the, you know, cross peer grading material, and then I'm able to get the go from my boss and am able to like increase their compensation by 30% or whatever. It's like, that's such good news, right? So every time that happens, like I get very teary. So I would say it's those things. First, project-wise, those live hosting. But secondly, anytime I get to promote someone, that is what gives me a lot of fulfillment.
Nice. I no wonder why your colleagues wanted to go follow you, right?
I mean, it's I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human, and just being able to build cool stuff with people that are smart and approachable, and also, you know, want to be in an environment where they're able to build with, you know, their colleagues, and maybe they're also good friends. Like, I don't know, I just feel like that kind of atmosphere, that's what people want. You know, no one wants to work in a very dull atmosphere where there's no personality, there's no culture, you clock in, you clock out. Like, you know, the best workspaces are where you're able to combine innovation with building really cool stuff with all the emerging technologies, and ideally with like your close friends or colleagues that you've worked with. So I'm glad to have that kind of reputation. I've have coworkers, you know, from 10 years ago to now, and I'll follow them too. You know, that manager I reported to at Chainlink, like I'll follow him wherever he'd go to, because that's the same kind of energy that I bring. So
nice. So on the other hand, what was your let's say rock bottom moment or the sad moment from your career path?
My career path, really good question. We're gonna need to swap Americanos for soju for this one. There's definitely been with its ups, there's always downs, and I feel my philosophy on life is the faster you fail, the stronger you become. And I've always taken the riskier option, and usually with risk comes with great upside or great disappointment. I think one of the hardest things I had to figure out for myself was, you know, this was at a startup, and I was effectively the head of engineering and was promised that VP of Eng role, but the founder decided to hire someone with, you know, way more experience, but not tell me about it. And it felt like such a big, like, not stab in the back, but it was just so unexpected because it was verbally communicated. I was busting my ass for multiple years, and then they brought in this person who didn't have a startup background. You know, they had a much more traditional career path, and basically, you know, at that time I was in my mid-20s, whereas this person is like in his like 30s, 40s. So he's basically the adult in the room, and I'm not. And I think that's what taught me about, you can't, like, life is full of moments where it's unexpected. You can't time everything, and sometimes there's a lot of things out of your control. And lastly is, I think in that time, I've always been the person, like, even though I might not be the smartest person in the room, I will always be the hardest worker in the room. And I just felt that I put in so much work and had so much accolades and was able to build a team that I knew that I would have been a more effective manager and a VP of Eng. So person was brought in, I didn't get the role. And basically from then, that person had really impacted the engineering team to the point where pretty much half of us left within a couple months after. And it just felt, I wasn't upset about that. I was most upset about the great team that we've had. All of a sudden, it was no longer a team. There was no culture. There was no teamwork. There was no belief in the team anymore because this person brought in a culture that was completely opposite of cohesion and teamwork. So it just sucked to see multiple years of hard work kind of fall apart and to see my close teammates leave to pursue better things, which I'm happy for. But if we all just stayed at that moment and that hire didn't happen, there could have been a completely different turn of events. So it is what it is, but it also taught me two things. One is the people that you hire to lead certain teams, you can make a bad like IC hire and figure that out. But once you make a bad leadership hire, the years of building teamwork and trust and communication can quickly go away. So if you're going to hire a manager, you better hire a really good manager that you know that you could trust. But at any given moment where you feel culture is slipping, the damage is already done. So that's something that I've learned when I also hired managers that reported to me. And then secondly is external validation. I think growing up as a Asian American immigrant, I've learned to always obey the rules, put my head down, work really hard. And if I work, success and luck will come. And that will take you pretty far. Like it's definitely taken me far. But at a certain point, I could do all those things. But if the people that decide don't see that or overlook that, then I would be extremely disappointed. Because the way that I grew up was work hard, put your head down, follow rules, and things will happen. But there will be cases where it doesn't happen, and all of a sudden you're pissed and upset. So that taught me to think about, don't seek external validation from others. Seek inner happiness and fulfillment with your own self. Build something that you're proud about. Be a kind person. Learn a lot. Fail quickly. And just be the best person you could be and treat others the same way as you want to be treated. That, I think, takes you very far from being the kind of person that everyone aspires to work with. That's certainly the culture that I brought with any kind of team that I've managed. And that's allowed me way more opportunities than for me to be a by-the-book manager who was a big a-hole, who didn't care about anyone, who had my own agenda. So I'm glad that I led with my heart versus leading with a hidden agenda and not caring for people. And I think at the end of the day, the people that I've had a chance to work with, they see the warm side. They see me to go out of my way to make sure people are happy and fulfilled. People, if you ask any of one of my direct reports, it'd be like, wow, yeah, like John forever like has my back. And I have that in my corner. And that's the person that I'm more proud about becoming. And that's also allowed me to have a lot of opportunities with having such a close network and people that I could work with. And yes, people who are eager to figure out when Cardment is to come. It's still kind of in stealth, but I can't wait to fully put that out there as hey, this is my next play. Hopefully I have certain kind of funding. And I want to get the band back together. So
nice. Speaking of your new startup, spelling with Cardment, right?
Yeah, Cardment. Yeah, Cardment.
Got it. Are you also trying to apply to YC?
Yeah, that's a big question. I built the MVP, and I think when I built the MVP, I'm like, oh, I should apply to YC. But YC closed 2 days before. So I couldn't. So and I emailed and it didn't work out. I think YC is a great program because the ecosystem and the community and it brings a lot. So definitely I will apply in the future, or if I have another play after Cardment, I would. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a pre-seed. I think next year, a year from now when the applications are open, or maybe it's the different batch, I'll definitely give my shot. But I think it just timing wise didn't work out, but I highly respect the program. I highly respect the people that run it. And I've had friends that go through it myself and they've all raved about it. So they're like, oh, you should have done it. And I'm like, I was like 2 days late, and I like literally cold DM everyone that I could think about on X and LinkedIn, and like try to like back channel people, and it just didn't work out. So it is what it is. I'm excited to apply again or for the first time, and hopefully I get accepted. I also know how hard it is too. So there's a super high bar. I definitely want to apply.
Awesome. I think they're now running 3 to 4 different batches a year.
The cadence is better versus just 1 or 2 batches. So I'm keeping my eyes on the next one.
Awesome. I remember because I'm the last the full remote batch.
Okay.
I remember whenever every week we have the founder came to the Zoom meeting and then explained what was their experience at the YC, and then there was a Coinbase, the Brian Armstrong was there too, and then OpenSea founder was there too. So both cases were not like a fully focusing on the blockchain or Web3, but now they became to try to find the product market fit, and it became a Coinbase and the OpenSea.
Wow.
So like they're super open to the early stage founders, especially like yourself, like have a engineering background for over a decade from top tiers, and then they would love to have you that kind of experience. It's a almost like a very lucky. I was very lucky to got in. I think that was my last shot to get into YC, because the e-commerce, the solo founder based in Korea, and all the combinations is not really that existed within the YC community. But at that time was like the quick commerce was booming at the time, like GoPuff, like in the States. And then at the time was right before the Russian-Ukraine war.
Oh, wow.
So the money was like flowing to every single VC fund. I have so much money, you have to do this and blah, blah, blah. And then starting doing it, and then the Russian-Ukraine war hit. But anyways, so that's how I got into YC. But to give you the ideas, I failed probably 6-7 times to YC, and then they're like looking for the best talents, best engineers in the world, top class level. And then if you are aligned with the global narrative, then probably the higher chance you can get it.
Gotcha. Good advice. I mean, we talked about this at ETH Denver, and I know it's a super hard program to get into. So it's awesome that you got into it. Yeah. Hopefully I get into it and we could be part of the same group alumni connection.
Awesome. So I think we came to covered all the questions that I have here.
Okay, cool.
So how was your experience with the first religious setup of the podcast studio?
This is super cool. I've done like remote podcasts or remote like joint interviews, but just feeling like the light boxes and being able to talk to you and like seeing all the stuff it's really cool. It's very it's almost like a surreal experience. So I just appreciate you folks having me here. I mean, we first met at ETH Denver, and now we're across the world in Korea doing this. So it's just been awesome to be able to meet and connect with you and for us to share time today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. And then I'm super excited about the new startup, Cardment. So thank you so much for coming, and then we had a great time here.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.